Hello everyone, welcome back to the class. This is module number 2, Kinhin, which translates to walking meditation. This is a big part of the Soto Zen tradition and practice, as I mentioned in the last module. Typically periods of Zazen are 30 minutes, and there's 2 periods. Kinhin is what bridges the gap between both periods. And obviously it's challenging physically on your body to sit cross-legged and still for that length of time. People get a lot of back pain and knee pain, and they can get tightness in their necks and shoulders. Kinhin essentially is a movement meditation. So I've taken a little bit of liberty here. It translates to walking meditation. I'm going to encourage you to add that to your practice, but I'm also using this as an analogy for life. So my wife and I, we live out in the desert, and we live right by hiking trails. So am I necessarily doing the traditional walking meditation after every meditation anymore? No, not necessarily. But what I do now is I take it into the hiking trails and I walk mindfully, or even yoga can be a form of movement meditation. So the concept that I'm distilling Kinhin down is to getting you to move mindfully. That's the important part of this. Connecting your breath to your body and also letting go of thought. So just to take a step back and kind of go back to the traditional aspect of Kinhin, as you get done with the first half-hour session, you get up and you typically bow to the cushion, then you turn around and you bow to the rest of the room who you're meditating with, and then you put your hands in what's called gassho. You close your left fist, you put it over your sternum, and then you put your right hand over it and your elbows out. And then you walk very slowly. Every Zen center is different, every tradition is different, but typically it's around a half step for every breath or 1 step for every breath, but the point is that you walk super slow. It's supposed to be an extension of the meditation. The value of this is enormous. As I mentioned earlier, New Yorker, lacrosse player, entrepreneur, salesperson, most humans are accustomed, as I was, to running around moving a million miles a minute. So the first module talked about the seated meditation. This is now a moving meditation. So you could start to see how these build on each other, and by the time we're done with this whole program, you'll have all the main building blocks of a normal human life all framed out in a Zen philosophy and principle. When you put it all together, now your life becomes more mindful, more meditative, more beneficial, right? That's the point of this, is to get you to a point where the stress, the anxiety, the worry, all those things are not debilitating. You have the tools in the toolbox to grab now for every scenario. And so for the first time that I experienced Kinhin, it was very profound. It was bizarre and enlightening all at the same time. Most people, if you're like me, have never walked that slowly in your life. And so I found myself having another moment after I learned Kinhin years later. I was living in Santa Monica, and I walked out my front door to go food shopping at the local grocery store. And because of my natural New York tendencies, I found myself rushing to go food shopping for no reason other than autopilot. It's just innately in me to walk. And as I'm walking to the grocery store, it struck me that my breath was short, it was tight, it was fast, my shoulders were a little bit tense. Why was I in a rush? There was no reason to be rushing. And in that moment, I stopped myself dead in my tracks on the sidewalk. I came back to my breath and my body. And I chose to walk mindfully and calmly and in a form of Kinhin the rest of the way to the grocery store. And it made my walk significantly more pleasant. It made my shopping experience more pleasant. And it was just that little moment of being mindful and recognizing I was rushing and walking too fast that changed the whole dynamic of that little situation. So that is the goal of this movement meditation, of this walking meditation, is to get you to understand that these little moments where you catch yourself and you're able to come back to center, to readjust, to realign, those moments are priceless. And if you start stacking them up day after day, moment after moment, and you start combining those, now the big picture starts to become more mindful, more present, more aware day after day. And so you could see how this can really start to have a real positive impact on yourself. So as we talked about in the last session, again, when it relates to movement, people who lack movement and exercise experience cardiovascular issues, unfortunate weight gain, poor sleep, joint problems, muscle atrophy, and this all leads to, unfortunately, poor mental health. If you incorporate this mindful movement into your life, it can reduce stress, improve your focus and concentration, have a better mind-body connection, lower your blood pressure, improve your posture. It makes you more grounded and centered, increase your energy. You're able to integrate this more into your daily life, and also cultivate patience with yourself. So I encourage you to take this class out into the real world. Try doing it. A lot of times Kinhin is done in a circle. So after your meditation, you could just walk very mindfully in a circle in your room. You could walk around your living room. You could go into your front yard, into your street, go for a walk. But the idea is you don't have to do necessarily all the traditional things with your hands. You could put your hands behind your back. You could put them just down by your side. But the idea is to walk feeling your foot hitting the ground, feeling the ground underneath your feet, the air on your face, the wind moving, the birds chirping, the sound of the refrigerator buzzing, whatever it is that you're experiencing, experience it all. Take it all in. While you're moving, you're also in meditation. That is the beauty of this practice. It's meditation while moving. We'll see you in the next module. Thanks so much.